What would your life look like if you finally stopped holding back? If you stopped giving half effort, stopped waiting, and started putting everything you have into what matters? Most people never find out. They quit early, they slow down when it gets hard. They say they want success, but their actions never match their words. This video is different. It's not about quick tips or empty hype. It's about making a real decision to give your best every day, no matter how you feel. We're going to talk about what it actually takes to live fully committed. You'll learn why most people stay stuck and how you can break free by showing up with full focus, full effort, and full purpose. If you've ever felt like you're capable of more, if you know deep down that you're not living at your highest level, then don't leave. This message is for you. Let's talk about it. Number 1, commit fully until your work speaks for you. When you wake up in the morning, there has to be something inside you that says, today, I'm going to give it everything I have. Not halfway, not when it's convenient, not when someone is watching. You give it your all, because that's the kind of person you choose to be. You do it because it means something to you. That's the real start. That's what separates the average from the ones who rise. It's not talent. It's not luck. It's the decision to commit fully. You see, commitment is not about words. Anyone can say, I'm serious. Anyone can promise the world. But the real test is whether you follow through when it gets hard, when you're tired, when nobody is cheering, when nobody is there to notice if you take the easy way. That's where your character gets shaped. That's where your future is built. And I'll tell you, the world may not applaud you at first. People might not even understand why you're pushing so hard. But keep going. Because in time, your work will speak so loudly that you won't have to. I've seen people start something with excitement and drop it the moment it gets uncomfortable. That's not commitment. That's convenience. If you only show up when it feels good, you'll never build anything great. You've got to make up your mind that no matter how long it takes, no matter how much effort it demands, you'll stay with it. You'll do the work without asking for shortcuts. You'll stay focused when others get distracted. You'll choose discipline over distraction. That's commitment. And if you can get yourself to that point, you're already halfway to success. Now, commitment isn't just about showing up physically. It's not just being present. It's about being mentally locked in. It's about doing your best, even when nobody is pushing you. It's about giving full attention to the small things. You don't ignore details. You don't cut corners. You respect your own work enough to do it right the first time. And when you do that long enough, something powerful happens. You develop pride, not ego. Pride, the quiet confidence of knowing that you're doing what most people won't. That's what builds self-respect. And when you respect yourself, you stop looking for approval. You stop begging for recognition. You stop waiting to be told you're doing a good job, because your results will speak. They'll say it louder than you ever could. That's the goal, to build something with such integrity, such quality, such consistency, that it doesn't need defending. You want people to look at your work and say, I don't know everything about this person, but I know they care. I know they're serious. But here's the hard part. There are days when you won't feel like doing any of it. You'll feel tired. You'll feel unsure. You'll wonder if it even matters. And that's where you decide who you are. Because it's easy to keep going when everything is working. It's easy to push when there's energy and motivation and clear results. But what about when it's quiet? What about when you're stuck in the middle, far from where you started, but not yet close to where you want to be? That's when you choose to keep going. That's when you go back to your commitment. Some people get discouraged when results don't show up quickly. But progress doesn't always happen in a straight line. Sometimes you're growing and you can't see it. Sometimes the effort you put in today won't pay off for weeks or months. That's okay. You're not doing this for fast rewards. You're doing it because you believe in what you're building. You're doing it because you don't want to live a life filled with regret. You're doing it because average never felt right to you, and it never will. So stop looking for proof before you commit. The world responds to action, not promises. If you want to be taken seriously, take yourself seriously. If you want people to trust you, show them consistency. And if you want your work to speak, then give it something worth saying. Build habits that support your goals. Make routines that strengthen your discipline. Say no to distractions. Say yes to growth, even when it's uncomfortable. That's how you build a life that commands respect. People often ask how to find purpose. I say purpose is not something you find in a book. You find it in effort, You find it in showing up day after day and realizing that the process itself matters. You're shaping who you are every time you give your best. Every time you say, I'm tired, but I'm still showing up, you're becoming stronger. You're learning things no one can teach you in a classroom. You're building something inside that will last longer than any reward. You're developing grit, and grit is one of the most valuable things you can carry through life. There's something powerful about knowing that you did everything you could, that you didn't hold back, that you didn't quit when it got hard, that you gave every ounce of effort and kept going. That kind of honesty builds inner peace. It removes doubt. It silences the noise. Because even if results take time, you'll know you're not cheating yourself. You're not leaving anything on the table. That's the kind of life worth building. Now, if you're going to give it your all, you've got to eliminate excuses. Excuses are what keep people average. They're what people use when they want the reward, but not the responsibility. But you're not here to be like everybody else. You're here to rise. So when something doesn't go your way, don't waste time blaming. Don't wait for things to get easier. You rise to the challenge. You face it head on. That's the mindset that creates real change. That's the mindset that people remember. You don't need permission to work hard. You don't need anyone to understand your path. You just need to commit and then prove that commitment through consistent action. Because the truth is, people stop believing in themselves when they stop keeping their own word. So keep yours. Do what you said you'd do. Follow through on the promises you made to yourself. And when you fail, and you will sometimes, don't run from it. Own it. Learn from it. But then get back up. Because people who give it their all don't stay down for long. They don't let mistakes define them. They use them. There's nothing more rewarding than knowing you've earned your progress. That it wasn't handed to you. That you didn't rely on luck or favors. You built it. You struggled for it. You stayed up late. You got up early. You sacrificed comfort for something bigger. That kind of effort never goes to waste. It shapes your mind, it strengthens your will, and it makes you someone who others can trust and rely on. And yes, it's hard, it's demanding, but it's worth it, because you don't grow by taking it easy. You grow by pushing past what's easy and reaching for what matters. You don't gain confidence by avoiding pressure. You gain it by walking into pressure and coming out stronger. You don't develop discipline by waiting to feel motivated. You develop it by doing the work even when you don't feel like it. So today, wherever you are, whatever you're facing, decide that you're not going to give 60% or 80%. You're going to give everything. You're going to pour yourself into your work, into your goals, into your growth. Not because someone told you to, but because you've chosen to be that kind of person. A person who follows through, a person who earns their results, a person who doesn't quit. You don't need talent to commit. You don't need a perfect plan. You just need to start. Start where you are with what you have and do the best you can. And then do it again tomorrow. That's how you build momentum. That's how you become unstoppable. Not all at once, but through steady effort that never quits. Through consistency that builds trust. Through actions that leave no doubt about your seriousness. If you're tired, rest. But don't stop. If you're unsure, ask questions. But don't back down. If you fail, feel it. But then get up stronger. Because when you keep going, even in the hard times, you're proving something powerful to yourself. You're proving that you are someone who can be counted on. And over time, your work will speak. It'll speak in the opportunities that come your way. It'll speak in the respect you earn. It'll speak in the growth you experience. You won't have to announce how serious you are. People will see it, they'll feel it, because your results will reflect the effort you put in. And that's what matters most. So commit, fully, not halfway, not sometimes, but do it until there's no doubt left. Until your work is so strong that people can't ignore it. Until your results speak louder than any words ever could. Give it your all. Because if you're going to live this life, you might as well live it fully, with intention, with purpose, with effort. That's how you make it count. Number 2, push through pain to discover your true potential. There's something you need to understand about pain. It's not your enemy. It's not a signal that you're broken. It's a signal that you're growing. Most people turn away. The second pain shows up, they stop, they slow down, they talk themselves out of the very thing they once said they wanted. And that's the tragedy, because the pain they're running from is the very thing that could lead them to their real potential. Pain isn't just physical. Sometimes it's emotional. Sometimes it's the kind of pain that shows up when you're being stretched in ways you've never been stretched before. You try to stay focused, but your mind wants to quit. You try to believe in yourself, but fear creeps in. That tight feeling in your chest, the pressure in your head, the overwhelming thoughts. That's the kind of pain that most people aren't prepared to face. And yet that's exactly where your growth lives. That's where you find out what you're really made of. When you decide to push through pain, you make a choice that most people avoid their whole life. You choose to keep going when your body says stop. You choose to believe in your goals when the results say otherwise. You choose to stay disciplined when distractions scream for your attention. That kind of choice transforms you. It rewires how you think. It strengthens your spirit. You stop breaking down at the first sign of struggle. You stop folding under pressure. You become resilient, not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. You can't discover your true potential by staying comfortable. Comfort never changed anyone. It keeps you where you are. It keeps you guessing. But pain wakes you up. It demands your attention. It challenges you to grow. It tells you if you want more out of life, you're going to have to earn it. Not once, but over and over again. Every time you face something difficult, pain will be there. And every time you'll have the same choice: push through or turn back. When you push through, you gain something that no one can give you. You gain trust in yourself. You learn that you don't break as easily as you thought. You realize that most of your limits were lies. You thought you couldn't do more, but you did. You thought you'd give up, but you didn't. That awareness changes your identity. You stop seeing yourself as weak. You stop doubting your ability to follow through. And the more you do it, the more confident you become. Some people spend years running from pain, avoiding challenges, looking for shortcuts. They build a life around avoiding discomfort. And as a result, they never build anything that lasts. Because anything worth building is going to challenge you. It's going to require sacrifice. It's going to test your patience. It's going to ask you to work longer, think deeper, act braver. You won't find your best self by taking the easy road. You'll find it on the days when everything feels heavy and you keep going anyway. Think about the people you admire most. The people who built something powerful. The ones who lead with strength. The ones who live with purpose. Do you think they got there without pain? No. They went through storms. They were tested. They failed, then got back up. They had doubts, but they acted anyway. They faced rejection, criticism, setbacks, and instead of giving up, they used the pain. They didn't wait for it to pass. They grew through it, and that's why they reached levels most never will. The truth is, you can't control when pain shows up. Life will hit you. Sometimes without warning. You'll lose people. You'll face failure. You'll be misunderstood. That's real, and it hurts. But what you do next is everything. Do you let it break you? Or do you get up and do what needs to be done? You've got more strength inside you than you think. But you won't see it by avoiding pain. You'll only see it when you face it head on and say, I'm not quitting here. Pain is the price for transformation. You want to grow. You want to level up. Then understand, you're going to have to go through seasons that stretch you. Seasons where you feel alone. Seasons where the results don't match the effort. But if you stay with it, if you keep showing up, something incredible starts to happen. You get sharper. You get focused. You become relentless. And that version of you, that's the version that reaches goals, that earns respect, that lives with real confidence. Confidence doesn't come from comfort. It comes from conquering things that once scared you, from standing in front of something painful and saying, I'm still here. Every time you push through, you raise your standards. You stop accepting average effort. You stop wasting time with excuses. You hold yourself to a higher level. And that creates momentum. It creates belief. Not because everything goes your way, but because you keep moving even when it doesn't. You have to get used to being uncomfortable. That's where your power is. Most people never learn that because they stop too soon. They think pain means something's wrong. But the pain isn't a sign to stop. It's a sign to keep going. It means you're close. It means you're doing something that matters. So instead of running from it, lean into it, learn from it, grow through it, use it. The day you realize that pain is part of the process is the day you start taking control of your life. You stop waiting for easy. You stop needing motivation. You just do the work. You show up. No matter how you feel, you get up early. You stay focused. You stay disciplined. Not because it's fun, but because you're building something bigger than how you feel right now. You want to know how to discover your true potential. You keep going when it doesn't make sense. You give more when there's nothing left. You stand tall when everything inside says give up. And when it's over, and you look back, you'll realize that the pain didn't defeat you. It revealed you. It pulled something out of you that you didn't know was there. That's what pain does when you push through. It uncovers the deeper layers of your strength. It teaches you what you're truly capable of. The people who make an impact, who build lasting legacies, are the ones who understand this. They know that pain isn't the enemy. It's the process. They don't avoid it. They use it. They harness it. They take the lessons. They take the strength, and they keep building. And when they speak, you can feel it. You can feel the truth in their voice because they've lived it. So now it's your turn. You're going to face hard days. That's not a question. The question is, what will you do with them? Will you let them define you, or will you let them refine you? Will you let the pain crush you, or will you rise through it and use it to fuel your next move? You get to choose. But know this, every time you push through the pain, you separate yourself from the crowd. You step into a smaller group, the group of people who don't quit when it hurts. The group of people who fight for more, who raise the standard, who show others what's possible. That's the group that changes the world. That's the group that lives with peace, knowing they gave everything they had. So don't be afraid to hurt. Be afraid of settling. Be afraid of wasting your life on comfort. Be afraid of looking back one day and realizing you never even touched your real potential because you were too busy avoiding pain. That's the real loss. But if you choose the other path, the harder one, you won't regret it. It won't be easy, but it will be worth it. You're not weak. You're not broken. You're being shaped right now. In this season, through this challenge, you're learning how to fight. You're learning how to focus. You're building strength that most people will never know. Don't throw that away because it hurts. Use it. Let it remind you that you're alive, that you're growing, that you're doing something that matters. You only get one shot at this life. Don't waste it chasing comfort. Don't play small to avoid pain. Use every moment. Use every struggle. Push through and discover just how powerful you really are. Because the version of you on the other side of pain, that's the one who's unstoppable. That's the one who wins. That's the one who inspires others to rise. So keep pushing. Through doubt, through discomfort, through fear. You're not doing this for recognition. You're doing it because you know deep down, you were made for more. And the only way to find that more is to earn it. Through effort, through sacrifice, through pain. And when you look back, you'll be proud. Not because it was easy, but because you didn't quit. Because you faced the hardest parts of the journey and kept going. That's what gives you real power. That's what brings you peace. That's what turns potential into reality. Push through pain. That's where the truth lives. That's where you become who you were meant to be. Number 3, sacrifice comfort today for lasting success tomorrow. If you want something that lasts, you have to be willing to give something up now. You can't have long-term success if you're always chasing short-term comfort. You have to make a clear decision to give up the easy path today so you can walk the right path tomorrow. You've got to stop reaching for what feels good now if it's keeping you from what will feel great later. That means choosing growth when it's uncomfortable. That means showing up when others are staying in bed. That means turning down distractions so you can focus on the life you say you want. You can't have it both ways. You can't be committed and casual at the same time. One will always cancel out the other. Comfort is not the reward, it's the test. It's the trap that makes people settle. It's the voice that tells you you've done enough when you haven't. It's the lie that says you deserve a break when what you really need is more discipline. Comfort doesn't build character. It protects weakness. And if you give in to it every time it calls, you will never see what you're truly capable of. You'll be the person who always had potential, but never had results. Every time you choose comfort over discipline, you lose a piece of your future. That may sound harsh, but it's real. The days you sleep in, the days you don't follow through, the days you ignore what needs to be done, they all add up. And so do the days you stay committed, even when it's hard. You don't get stronger by accident. You get stronger by sacrifice. You get smarter by putting in effort. You get better by choosing what's right, not what's easy. Success doesn't come from big moments. It comes from the small decisions you make over and over again. The decision to get out of bed early, the decision to say no to the phone and yes to the work, the decision to use your time wisely instead of wasting it. None of that feels good at first, but that's what makes it powerful. Anyone can do what's easy. Few are willing to give up comfort for something greater. You don't succeed by accident. You succeed by structure. You succeed by staying consistent when there's no applause. You succeed by training your mind to lead your life, not your emotions. And that starts by sacrificing comfort. You trade temporary relief for permanent strength. You give up what you want right now for the life you'll be proud of later. And if you do that long enough, the results will come. You'll start seeing changes that most people never see because they didn't put in the time. People look at someone successful and they think it must be nice, but they don't see what it took. They don't see the hours spent learning. They don't see the days spent alone, working when others were relaxing. They don't see the choices made every single day to stay committed. They only see the outcome. They don't see the price that was paid in private. But you will. You'll feel it, because you'll be the one making those choices. It's easy to want success. Everyone wants that, but not everyone wants the trade that comes with it. You can't wish for something and avoid the work that makes it real. You can't expect to grow and keep living like it's optional. You can't expect to rise while holding on to every comfort that's keeping you where you are. You've got to be honest about that. If something matters to you, prove it. Make space for it. Show up for it. Give your energy to it. That's how you earn it. Every time you give something up, you gain something else. You give up sleep, you gain time. You give up distractions, you gain focus. You give up laziness, you gain progress. That's the trade. That's the discipline. And it's not easy, but it's always worth it. Because what you build through sacrifice is solid. It's not luck. It's not borrowed. It's earned. And no one can take that from you. You've got to make your days count. Time is the one thing you can't get back. If you waste today, you don't get another shot at it. So what are you doing with your hours? Are they getting you closer to who you want to be? Or are they just passing by, spent on things that give you nothing in return? These are the questions that make people uncomfortable, but they're the ones that matter. Sacrificing comfort isn't about being miserable. It's about making room for purpose. It's about choosing the hard thing now, so your future is easier. It's about doing what's right instead of what's popular. It's about living intentionally instead of passively. You don't just drift into success. You build it. You shape it. You discipline yourself into it. And that only happens when you're willing to go through the discomfort that most people avoid. Look around. Most people are doing the same things every day, and they're hoping life just gets better on its own. But nothing changes without action. Nothing improves without effort. You can't complain about the results you didn't get from the work you didn't do. You've got to stop waiting for the right time and start creating it. You've got to stop blaming circumstances and start taking ownership. That's when things shift. That's when you move forward. Success requires urgency, not desperation, but urgency. The mindset that says, I won't waste another day. The mindset that refuses to accept mediocrity. The mindset that knows comfort today is often regret tomorrow. And regret, that's the pain that lasts the longest. The pain of knowing you could have done more. You could have tried harder. You could have made a better choice, but you didn't. So if it's hard right now, good. That means you're on the path. That means you're building something. That means you're not living like the rest. Embrace the challenge. Embrace the early mornings. Embrace the long nights. Embrace the moments when you have to say no to things that would have been fun, but would have pulled you away from your purpose. That's not punishment. That's power. That's what makes you grow. Discipline starts small. It starts with one choice, and then another, and then another. It's brushing off the urge to quit. It's picking yourself up when you feel like staying down. It's doing what needs to be done, even if it's inconvenient. Because over time, that discipline builds habits. And those habits shape who you become. And the person you become, that's your real reward. You've got goals. You've got dreams. Then you've got to be the kind of person who's willing to fight for them. Not talk about them. Not wish for them. But work for them. And work doesn't always feel good. Work is tiring. Work is stressful. But it's necessary. And the people who show up for it, who push through the resistance, who sacrifice comfort, those are the ones who win. Don't fall for the lie that you've got more time. You don't know how long you've got. And that's not a reason to panic. That's a reason to get focused. To start living with urgency. To stop putting things off. To stop making excuses. You don't need more comfort. You need more clarity. You need to look in the mirror and say, this is what I want, and I'm going to give everything I've got to get there. You won't always be motivated, but you can always be disciplined. Motivation comes and goes. Discipline is a choice. It's the choice to do what needs to be done when you don't feel like it. And that choice, made daily, will take you places motivation never could. It'll carry you through the slow seasons, through the setbacks, through the self-doubt. And in the end, it will give you something no comfort ever could. Pride in what you built. So the next time you're faced with the easy road or the hard one, choose the hard one. Not because it feels good, but because it leads somewhere. Because it teaches you something. Because it makes you better. You weren't made to settle. You weren't made to be average. You weren't made to play small. But to become anything greater, you've got to give up the things holding you back. Success is built in silence. It's built in the early hours, the late nights, the quiet choices no one sees. And every sacrifice you make along the way is a brick in the foundation of something solid, something lasting, something real. That's what makes it worth it. That's what gives your effort meaning. So don't chase what's easy. Chase what's meaningful. Don't chase approval. Chase growth. Don't chase comfort. Chase purpose. And remember, every time you choose discomfort today, you're opening the door to success tomorrow. Not just success in your career or finances, but success in your character, your confidence, your peace of mind. Because when you know you gave your all, when you know you didn't take the shortcut, when you know you paid the price, it feels different. You walk taller, you speak with more certainty, you lead without needing to pretend. That's the kind of success that lasts. That's the kind that sticks with you long after the applause fades. So start now. Don't wait for the mood to strike. Don't wait for the perfect time. Decide today. Sacrifice comfort. Build something better. Earn your future. And never settle for anything less than what you're truly capable of. Number 4. Challenge your limits to build a stronger self. If you want to become stronger, you've got to stop living inside the same routine. You've got to stop accepting the limits you've accepted for years. You weren't born to stay the same. You weren't meant to stay comfortable. You weren't supposed to repeat yesterday just because it feels safe. Growth doesn't happen when you stay within the lines. It happens the moment you step outside of them and do something that makes you uncomfortable. That's where change lives. That's where strength is built. And that's where the best version of you starts to form. Most people never discover their full strength because they never challenge what they think they're capable of. They stay inside a box. They live by rules someone else gave them. They never question their routines. They say, this is just how I am, and they repeat it so many times, it becomes a truth in their head. But that's not a real limit. That's a mental barrier. And until you test it, you'll never know what you're truly made of. Challenging your limits doesn't mean doing something reckless. It means doing something harder than what you're used to. It means adding weight to the bar. It means staying focused longer than your mind wants to. It means saying yes when your nerves say no. It means showing up when your body says rest. It means refusing to be defined by what you were yesterday. Because who you were isn't who you have to stay. You grow by pressure. You grow by stretch. You grow by putting yourself in situations where you can't coast. You grow by saying, I'm going to do something today that I've never done before. Even if it's small, even if it scares you. Because that little challenge opens the door. It tells your mind, I'm not living on autopilot anymore. It tells your body, we're not going to waste potential today. And the more you do it, the stronger you become. Not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. You'll never build a powerful life by repeating easy things. You build it by taking on what most people avoid. The discomfort, the uncertainty, the effort that feels overwhelming. And when you push through it, even once, you start to see that your limits were never real. They were just boundaries you didn't question. Once you break one, you start looking for others. You stop being afraid of hard things. You stop running from challenges. You start craving them. Because every challenge gives you something nothing else can. Real growth. But here's the truth. Challenging your limits isn't something you do once. It's a lifestyle. It's a mindset. It's waking up every day and asking, how can I be better today? Not in a vague way, but in a real, actionable way. Maybe it means saying what you've been holding in. Maybe it means waking up earlier and training harder. Maybe it means confronting a fear that's held you back. Whatever it is, you face it. Not because it's easy, but because you refuse to settle for less than who you're supposed to become. You're never going to feel fully ready. That's part of the test. You won't always feel confident, but confidence doesn't come first. It comes after. After the action. After the struggle. After you do what you didn't think you could. That's when you feel something shift inside you. That's when the fear starts to lose power. And that's when strength starts to take its place. Building a stronger self isn't about pretending to be tough. It's about doing hard things even when you don't feel strong. It's about staying committed when you'd rather give up. It's about holding yourself to a higher standard, even when no one else does. And it's about proving to yourself, not anyone else, that you're capable of more than what you once believed. You've got to stop thinking strength is something you're born with. It's not. It's something you earn. Through habits, through challenges, through sacrifice. It's the result of every decision you make to grow instead of stay still. And that means being honest about where you've been playing small. Honest about the areas in your life where you've coasted for too long. Honest about the routines that are no longer helping you. Because if you keep doing the same things, you'll keep getting the same results. You can't wish your way to strength. You can't hope your way to growth. You have to work for it. You have to decide that your goals matter more than your comfort. You have to be willing to do the uncomfortable work. The kind of work that doesn't bring instant results, but brings lasting change. The kind that changes your posture, your tone, your mindset. The kind of work that makes you walk into a room and feel grounded, calm, and in control. Not because you're pretending, but because you've built that person over time. You challenge your limits when you stop hiding behind excuses. When you stop saying, that's just how I am, and start saying, that's who I was, and I'm not staying there. You start pushing back on those thoughts that say, it's too much, or I can't do that. And you respond with, I'll try anyway. Because even the attempt makes you stronger. Even the failure makes you better. The only thing that keeps you weak is doing nothing. People want to feel stronger. They want confidence. They want clarity. But they don't want the discomfort that comes with it. You can't separate the two. If you want the strength, you've got to earn it through the challenge, through the repetition, through the process that no one else sees. You've got to wake up early when no one's watching. You've got to do the work when there's no reward. And you've got to keep doing it even when your emotions tell you to stop. That's what builds a stronger self. Not moments of hype, but a lifestyle of discipline. You don't have to be extreme. You just have to be consistent. You just have to decide that you will not accept your limits as facts. You will question them. You will challenge them. You will replace them with new boundaries. And then you'll break those too. You will build layer after layer of discipline, focus, and resilience until who you are today is unrecognizable. compared to who you were a year ago. Don't look for motivation. Motivation fades. Instead, build habits. Build systems. Build a routine that pulls you forward, even when your mind tries to hold you back. The more you challenge yourself, the more you'll start seeing things differently. You'll stop seeing challenges as problems. You'll start seeing them as opportunities to rise. And when others quit, you'll keep going. Not because it's easy, but because you've trained yourself to rise. That training, mental, emotional, physical, it doesn't happen in comfort. It happens when you sweat, when you doubt yourself, when you fail and keep going. Every setback is an invitation to get better. Every difficulty is a chance to build your foundation deeper. You've got to stop viewing resistance as the enemy. It's the path. It's the friction that makes you sharp. It's the pressure that builds strength. This world doesn't reward the people who wait for things to happen. It rewards the ones who make things happen. The ones who challenge themselves every day. The ones who look in the mirror and say, "I'm not done yet." That's the attitude. That's the mindset. That's the person who keeps rising when everyone else flattens out. And you don't need anyone's approval to do it. You don't need permission. You don't need someone to believe in you. You just need to believe that change is possible. You need to act like your life matters. Because it does. You don't get stronger by being passive. You get stronger by being intentional. By deciding that your growth is non-negotiable. There's something powerful that happens when you challenge your limits. You start seeing yourself differently. You carry yourself with more certainty. Not because life got easier, but because you became harder to break. You stop reacting to life. You start directing it. You stop waiting for the right conditions. You create your own conditions. That's strength. That's power. And that's yours. If you choose to chase it, you want to build a stronger self, then get uncomfortable. Try something you're not good at. Face something you've avoided. Speak when it's hard. Act when it's scary. Stand when it's easier to sit. That's how you build strength. Not by waiting for the right mood, but by becoming the kind of person who acts with purpose, no matter what. You don't get to keep your comfort and discover your full potential at the same time. One has to go, and the one you choose to let go of will decide the rest of your life. You've got more in you. More ideas, more energy, more courage. But you won't find it by playing safe. You won't access it by staying still. You'll find it by moving forward, by trying, by failing, by learning, and by doing it all over again, with more grit. Challenge your limits, because you owe it to yourself to see how far you can go. You owe it to the people around you to lead by example. You owe it to your younger self who once had big dreams. And you owe it to your future self, who's counting on you not to quit. Every day you challenge your limits. You're shaping someone stronger, someone sharper, someone more focused. That's the reward. That's the real win. And that's what makes it all worth it. Number 5. Demand excellence from yourself every single day. Excellence doesn't come from what you do once in a while. It's what you demand from yourself every single day. Not when it's easy, not when it feels good, not when someone else is watching. Every single day means no excuses. It means you've made the decision to raise your standard and stick to it, whether the world applauds or not. That's what separates people who just talk from people who get things done. It's not talent. It's not luck. It's the personal decision to expect more from yourself and to never accept anything less. You don't need someone else to push you if you've made up your mind to expect more from yourself. Excellence starts with the way you think, the way you speak, the way you show up when no one is watching. It's in the small decisions you make, the moment your feet hit the ground. It's the way you prepare. It's the way you respond to challenges. It's the way you carry yourself in situations where cutting corners would go unnoticed. You do the work right, even if it takes longer. You stay committed to the process, even when progress feels slow. You deliver your best, not because someone else expects it, but because you expect it from yourself. People will try to convince you that doing your best every day is too much, that you should give yourself a break, that life is meant to be easier. But you know what happens when you lower your standards to feel comfortable. You start building a life around regret, around missed chances, around good enough. And you weren't made for that. You weren't made to blend in. You were made to rise. You were made to lead. And that starts by setting the tone every day, regardless of how you feel. This isn't about being perfect. It's about being honest. Honest about your effort. Honest about your habits. Honest about how you spend your time. You don't need perfection to succeed, but you do need consistency. You need the courage to show up again and again with full effort. You need the kind of discipline that doesn't ask how you feel, but reminds you of what you've committed to. That's where excellence comes from. It doesn't show up on its own. You demand it. You reach for it. You stretch yourself beyond convenience. Demanding excellence means taking ownership. You don't point fingers. You don't wait around. You don't rely on others to keep you in check. You hold yourself accountable. You do the hard work of saying, "This is my life, and I'm responsible for how it turns out." That kind of mindset builds leaders. It builds people who stand tall. It builds people who follow through. And that kind of mindset is rare, but it's available to anyone who decides to stop settling. Most people start strong. They set goals. They get inspired. But they stop the moment it gets hard. They stop the moment they don't see results. They stop when no one is clapping. But you can't afford to live like that. You can't base your standards on outside noise. You've got to create your own standard and stick to it every day. That means you don't wait for the right mood. You don't wait for the right time. You get to work. You give your best. And then you do it again tomorrow. Every day is an opportunity to build something powerful, something that lasts. But you can't build it with weak habits. You can't build it with half effort. You build it with intention. You build it by waking up and saying, "Today matters. What I do today counts." And then proving it by how you act, how you work, how you carry yourself. There's something that happens to your confidence when you consistently deliver your best. You stop questioning your worth. You stop doubting your ability. You stop needing validation, because deep down, you know you're doing the work. And that kind of confidence doesn't fade. That's the kind of strength that stays with you, no matter what life throws your way. You don't have to announce to the world that you're committed to excellence. Your actions will say it all. Your results will speak louder than any words. The quality of your work, the way you treat people, the way you show up every single day, that becomes your identity. And people will notice, not because you're flashy, but because you're consistent. Excellence is a habit. It's not an event. It's the way you treat your responsibilities, the way you stay focused when others get distracted, the way you go the extra mile, even when it's inconvenient. It's not about doing more. It's about doing what matters, with full attention, with full care, and with full effort. It's about being someone others can depend on, not once, but always. The hard truth is most people don't demand enough from themselves. They stop when it gets uncomfortable. They settle for average. And then they wonder why their life feels small. If you want something different, you have to do something different. You have to raise your expectations. You have to make excellence a non-negotiable part of your life. You don't need someone else to challenge you. If you've already committed to raising your own standard, that's what makes you powerful. That's what gives you peace of mind. Because when you know you gave your best, you don't need applause. You don't need to explain yourself. You don't need to pretend. You just keep building. You just keep moving forward. Because your standard doesn't change based on how you feel or what others think. Your standard is set by who you want to become. Every time you demand excellence from yourself, you reinforce your strength. You build trust in yourself. You create momentum that carries into every area of your life. And that momentum will give you something most people never experience. True pride. The kind that doesn't come from awards or attention, but from knowing that you gave everything you had, even when it was hard. You don't rise by chance. You rise by choice. You rise by deciding that your life will not be built on excuses, that your time will not be wasted, that your energy will not be poured into things that don't matter. You rise by refusing to go through the motions, by showing up with purpose, by doing what others don't want to do, day after day, until the results speak for themselves. People will tell you to slow down, to relax, to settle. And if you're not careful, you'll start believing them. You'll start lowering your effort. You'll start accepting what's handed to you. But deep down, something in you will know that's not you. You're not here to coast. You're not here to repeat average days. You're here to lead your life with effort, with focus, with high standards. You don't need a big stage to demand excellence. You just need a decision. The decision to take your work seriously. The decision to treat your time with respect. The decision to look in the mirror and say, I can do better, and then actually do it. That's what makes the difference. That's what builds the life most people only talk about. And when the day comes that you don't feel like showing up, that's the day you show up stronger. Because you've trained for this. You've built the habits. You've done the work behind the scenes. And that discipline, that's your foundation. That's what makes you reliable. That's what makes you unstoppable. Because you're not moved by moods. You're led by standards. Excellence doesn't demand perfection. It demands effort. It demands honesty. It demands showing up when it's hard, when it's dull, when no one is clapping. It demands that you stay focused when it would be easier to quit. That's how you get better. That's how you stand out. That's how you win. So don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait for inspiration. Demand more from yourself today. Not next week. Not when it's easy. Right now, start by doing what you said you would. Start by finishing what you began. Start by holding yourself to the kind of standard that makes you proud at the end of the day. And when it gets hard, and it will, remember why you started. Remember what you're building. Remember that a life of excellence isn't about comfort. It's about character. It's about refusing to waste the time you've been given. It's about making sure your days are not just lived, but lived well. You only get one life. Make sure it reflects the kind of person you were meant to be. Not the one who gave up when things got hard, but the one who kept showing up. The one who gave full effort. The one who didn't settle. The one who demanded excellence and lived it. Number 6, face your fears head on to become unstoppable. Fear doesn't disappear by waiting for the right moment. It doesn't get smaller by ignoring it. It doesn't loosen its grip by pretending it's not there. Fear grows in silence. It builds power in hesitation. And the longer you avoid it, the stronger it feels. But here's the truth. Fear only controls the people who refuse to face it. If you want to become unstoppable, you have to look it in the eye. You have to walk toward it instead of away from it. You have to decide that fear isn't your limit. It's your signal to grow. Every person who's done something meaningful has had to face fear. Not once, but again and again. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of rejection, fear of rejection, fear of starting over. It's not about being fearless. It's about not letting fear decide how you live. It's about feeling the pressure in your chest and doing it anyway. You don't eliminate fear before you take action. You take action, and through that action, fear loses power. Most people never get to know their full potential because fear stops them too soon. They think the presence of fear means they should wait or that they're not ready. But fear doesn't mean stop. It means you've found something that matters. It means you're standing at the edge of something that can stretch you. And the only way to build strength is to step into that moment, not tiptoe around it, not delay it. Step directly into it with purpose. You don't need confidence to start. You need courage. Courage is doing the thing before you feel qualified. It's showing up when your voice shakes. It's speaking up when it's uncomfortable. It's making a move when your heart is pounding. And every time you do it, you change. You become stronger. You build trust in yourself. You stop being owned by fear because you've proven you can act without its permission. Avoiding fear keeps you stuck. It makes you small. It convinces you that safety is more important than growth. And the longer you stay stuck, the more life passes you by. You miss chances. You avoid challenges. You settle for less because you tell yourself you can't handle more. But the truth is, you can. You just have to stop negotiating with fear. You have to stop giving it power it never earned. When you face your fears head on, something powerful happens inside you. You take back control. You stop letting fear set your schedule. You stop letting it decide what you go after. You begin to move with intention. You start making decisions based on purpose, not pressure. You feel the weight of fear, but you refuse to let it steer the wheel. Every time you step into something that scares you, you expand your life. You widen your world. You open doors that once felt locked. And with each step, your courage grows. You start to see yourself differently. You stop asking for reassurance and start showing up with presence. Not because the fear is gone, but because you're no longer running from it. Fear doesn't vanish. It gets replaced by action. The more you do the thing that scares you, the more normal it becomes. What once felt impossible starts to feel like just another step. That's how you build momentum. That's how you train your nervous system to stop panicking every time something stretches you. You don't have to feel brave to be brave. You just have to move. Facing fear doesn't mean it goes away forever, but it means it no longer owns your choices. You still feel it, but you don't back down. You still hear the voice of doubt, but you don't listen to it. You still feel uncomfortable, but you don't use that as a reason to quit. You stay in the moment. You breathe through it. You stay grounded in your decision. And that repetition, that action over time, that's what transforms fear into strength. You've got to stop treating fear as something to avoid. Fear is the path. It's the sign that you're doing something meaningful. It shows up when you're about to level up. It appears when you're about to take a risk that could lead to a new version of yourself. If you keep turning away, you keep turning away from growth. You keep turning away from your own potential. And you'll never feel fulfilled hiding from the things that are meant to shape you. You don't get stronger by hiding. You get stronger by standing up, by speaking when your voice shakes, by taking the first step when your knees feel weak. You stop being afraid of failure when you realize that failure is just feedback. You stop being afraid of what people think when you realize most people are too focused on their own fears to care about yours. You stop fearing rejection when you realize the worst thing that could happen is you stay the same. Fear is just a test to see how serious you are, a test to see if your dreams matter more than your emotions, a test to see if you're willing to move without having all the answers. And when you pass that test, you don't just grow, you transform. You start leading your life with strength instead of hesitation. You start making decisions from vision, not anxiety. The reason most people never become unstoppable is because they keep waiting for fear to leave. They wait for the anxiety to fade, the uncertainty to clear up, the perfect conditions to show up. But those things don't happen. The only way to stop being controlled by fear is to face it again and again, until it loses its grip, until it becomes familiar, until you're no longer afraid of the thing but of staying the same. It's not supposed to be easy. Growth is hard. Facing fears is uncomfortable, but that's what makes it powerful. That's what makes it rare. That's what separates those who rise from those who stay stuck. The ability to feel fear and move anyway. That's what makes you unstoppable. Because now, nothing can hold you back. Not doubt, not failure, not uncertainty. Because you've trained yourself to act, no matter how it feels. Every time you back down from fear, you reinforce weakness. You teach your mind that fear gets the final say. But every time you face it, you build confidence. You build belief. You build a version of yourself that's resilient, grounded, and bold. And that version of you, that's the one who wins. That's the one who breaks barriers. That's the one who sets the tone for the rest of their life. You've got to ask yourself what kind of life you want. Do you want a life led by fear, where decisions are made to avoid discomfort, where you shrink your goals to fit your comfort zone? Or do you want a life where you rise, where you lean into the tension, where you step up, even when it's hard? You can't have both. One leads to growth, the other leads to regret. The fear will always be there, but so will the choice. The choice to face it, the choice to grow, the choice to become more than you were yesterday. And that choice, that's what makes all the difference. That's what turns ordinary days into defining moments. That's what creates breakthroughs. That's what builds legacies. It doesn't matter where you are right now. It doesn't matter how long you've been avoiding something. What matters is what you do next. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to stop running. You just have to decide that your life is too important to keep hiding. You have to remember that fear loses its power the moment you move toward it. So move, speak, start, step in. Don't overthink it. Don't wait to feel ready. Don't wait for the nerves to disappear. You've waited long enough. This is your moment. And it starts with one decision: to stop letting fear lead. From now on, you lead. You step forward. You take the risk. You own your voice. You chase the dream. You face the challenge. And you keep going. No matter how it feels. Because that's what makes you unstoppable. Not that fear disappears, but that you move anyway. Not that everything works out perfectly, but that you never let fear steal your future. You act with intention. You live with strength. You lead with courage. And you become the kind of person who no longer waits for life to get easier, but gets stronger every time it gets harder. That's what facing your fears does. It builds a version of you that's impossible to stop. Number 7. Refuse excuses and deliver your absolute best always. Excuses are the quiet killers of potential. They don't shout. They don't come with alarms. They creep in silently. They come dressed as logic. They sound reasonable. They feel safe, but they leave you stuck. Stuck in patterns that never produce growth. Stuck in habits that lead nowhere. Stuck in routines that pull you further from what you say you want. The moment you accept one excuse, you give yourself permission to settle. And once you settle, excellence is no longer the standard. Survival is, but you weren't built just to survive. You were built to deliver. You were made to give everything you have. And that starts the second you stop protecting your weaknesses with excuses and start demanding your best, no matter what. The easiest thing in the world is to explain why something didn't happen, why you were late, why you didn't show up, why the work wasn't done, why you didn't start. And while the excuse might feel right in the moment, it always takes something from you. It takes your self-respect. It takes your momentum. It takes your chance to grow, because deep down, you know the truth. You know when you could have done more. You know when you held back, and that awareness doesn't disappear. It builds guilt. It grows into frustration. And over time, it becomes a wall between where you are and where you could be. The difference between people who rise and people who stay stuck isn't resources. It's responsibility. The ones who rise take full ownership of their actions. They don't point fingers. They don't blame the clock, the people around them, or the world. They say, "This is mine. I will fix it. I will improve." That kind of mindset is rare, but it's available to anyone who decides that excuses are no longer acceptable. That kind of mindset makes you powerful, because you stop waiting for things to change. You change. You show up. You improve. You lead. Delivering your best doesn't mean you're perfect. It means you don't quit on your standard. Even when it's hard. Even when no one else would blame you for backing off. You show up with full effort, because that's what integrity looks like. That's what self-leadership demands. Not when it's easy, but always. Especially when things are stacked against you. Especially when you don't feel like it. That's where the real test is. Not in the spotlight, but in the silence. In the boring moments. In the quiet hours when nobody would know if you gave 50% instead of 100%. Those are the moments that shape you. Those are the moments that build your legacy. Some people only deliver when they feel good, when the mood is right, when the energy is high. That's not discipline. That's convenience. And convenience never built anything worth remembering. If you want your life to mean something, if you want your work to stand out, you have to bring your best when it's hardest, when it's inconvenient, when it costs you. That's when it counts most. That's when it shapes you. That's when it becomes who you are, not just what you do. Excuses sound good when you're tired. They sound good when things get complicated, but they don't produce results. They don't move you forward. They don't create growth. They just protect what's familiar. But if familiar isn't getting you where you want to go, why defend it? Why fight to stay the same? You've got more in you than the world has seen, but you'll never find it by explaining your way out of effort. You'll find it by showing up and delivering like everything is on the line. Because it is. You don't need perfect conditions to give your best. You need a reason. You need to remember what you said you wanted. You need to remember the goals you wrote down. The ones you were excited about before it got hard. Those goals still matter, but they don't show up for people who excuse their way out of action. They show up for the ones who stay consistent, who stay committed, who do the work, even if it's unnoticed, even if it's not rewarded right away, because they're not doing it for approval. They're doing it because they've decided that average is not an option. Every day you get to make a decision. Are you going to explain, or are you going to execute? Are you going to talk about it, or are you going to do it? Are you going to justify your distractions, or are you going to eliminate them? That decision builds your identity. And once you decide that excuses are no longer welcome, everything changes. You stop needing motivation. You stop waiting to feel ready. You get up, you get focused, and you get to work. That's how results happen. Not overnight, but every day by doing your best, even when it doesn't feel like enough. You'll have days when your energy is low, days when things go wrong, days when the progress feels invisible. But none of that is a reason to drop your standard. It's a reason to push harder, to prove to yourself that your actions are not controlled by emotions or moods, but by purpose. And purpose doesn't fold. Purpose doesn't fold. Purpose doesn't make excuses. It makes progress, one decision at a time. Refusing excuses doesn't mean you don't face setbacks. It means you don't hide behind them. It means you own your next move. No matter what happened yesterday, that's how you keep your power. That's how you stay in control of your life. That's how you stop being at the mercy of outside events. Because life won't always be fair, but effort is always yours to give. That's what no one can take from you. Your decision to show up and give your best always. You'll be tempted to take it easy, to justify slipping, to tell yourself you've done enough. But the people who go far in life don't operate on emotion. They operate on standard. They've decided ahead of time what kind of effort they'll bring, and they bring it, regardless of the mood, regardless of the results. They know that consistency builds momentum, and momentum changes everything. This is the kind of mindset that builds trust in yourself and in the people around you. When others know they can count on you, opportunities open. Doors you didn't even knock on begin to swing wide. Not because you were lucky, but because you were reliable, because you were different, because you didn't flinch. You didn't explain, you executed. Again and again and again. Your best is not about working yourself into the ground. It's not about burning out. It's about clarity. It's about being clear on what matters and showing up fully for it. It's about keeping your promises to yourself and to others. It's about doing the thing you said you'd do, not once, but consistently. Because that's how reputations are built. That's how respect is earned. That's how you stand out in a world full of excuses. Excuses are everywhere. Effort is rare, but effort always wins in the long run. Effort creates growth. Effort builds discipline. Effort earns freedom. And it starts with one decision. I will not explain away my weaknesses. I will strengthen them. I will not justify falling short. I will rise and do better. I will not play small to protect my pride. I will show up, give my best, and take full responsibility for my results. There's something powerful about living like that. You start moving with confidence. You start speaking with certainty. You stop apologizing for wanting more, because you know you've earned it. Not by chance, but by choice. By staying consistent. By refusing to let excuses set the pace for your life. So start now. Not tomorrow. Not when it feels easier. Start where you are, with what you have. Stop explaining. Start delivering. Show yourself what you're made of. Build the habit of showing up with full energy, with full focus, with full commitment, and then do it again the next day. Because the person who refuses to make excuses becomes the person who builds a life they don't need to escape from. A life full of strength, progress, and pride. You want respect, earn it through effort. You want growth, create it through action. You want results, deliver your best until they show up. Because if you keep doing that, day after day, excuses won't even have space to live in your mind. They'll be replaced by discipline, consistency, and undeniable strength. And that's how you become unstoppable. Not by luck, not by waiting, but by demanding your absolute best. Always. Number 8, fight doubt by proving your abilities through actions. Doubt will show up before you start. It will show up in the middle. It will show up even after you've made progress. It doesn't knock. It doesn't wait for permission. It just walks in and makes itself at home in your thoughts. And the worst part is, it sounds reasonable. It doesn't scream. It whispers. It doesn't shout that you can't do it. It asks quietly, what if you fail? What if you're not enough? What if this doesn't work? And if you entertain those questions too long, they begin to shape your decisions. That's why you don't answer doubt with words. You don't fight it by talking. You fight doubt by acting. You prove your abilities not by arguing with fear, but by doing the very thing fear told you you couldn't do. Every time you hesitate, every time you hold back, you feed your doubt. It grows stronger. It gains momentum. It begins to feel like truth, but it isn't. Doubt is only real if you allow it to be. It has no power unless you give it your time, your focus, and your belief. That's why the only way to silence doubt is with action. Not preparation, not planning, not perfection, just raw, real action. You move before you're fully ready. You do what you can with what you have, and you let your actions speak where your thoughts can't. Some people wait for doubt to go away before they start. They think one more book, one more video, one more conversation will remove it. But that moment doesn't come, because doubt isn't something you prepare out of. It's something you act through. The only thing that separates the people who rise from those who stay stuck is what they do in the presence of doubt. The ones who rise take a step forward. The ones who stay stuck sit in their heads and overthink. And the more you think, the more reasons you find not to try. Your mind is powerful. It can build or destroy. It can create a storm out of silence. And if you let it run without direction, it will default to fear. It will search for threats. It will replay past failures. It will imagine the worst-case scenarios. That's not weakness. That's human. But you are not here to be ruled by that voice. You're here to train it, to teach it that just because a thought shows up doesn't mean you have to believe it. You train it through repetition, through doing the hard thing again and again until your mind stops questioning and starts trusting. You build trust in yourself through effort. You don't need to prove anything to anyone else. You just need to prove it to yourself. And that happens when you stop negotiating with doubt and start delivering results. Not perfect results, not the best results, just honest results. Effort, that's real. Movement, that's forward. You don't have to leap. You just have to take the next step, and then the next. And with each step, doubt gets quieter. With each action, your belief grows stronger. There will be people who doubt you, people who question your goals, people who can't see what you're building. But their doubt isn't your responsibility. What matters is what you believe. And the best way to strengthen that belief is to do the work, to stay focused, to keep your eyes on your effort, not on the noise, because eventually your consistency becomes undeniable. Your results start to speak for themselves. And the same people who doubted you will ask how you did it. But this isn't about proving them wrong. It's about proving yourself right. It's about honoring the part of you that wants more, the part that refuses to settle, the part that knows deep down that you're capable of something greater. That part of you doesn't need permission. It needs action. And once you start moving, you'll realize that most of the limits you thought were real were just mental blocks built by fear. You can read every book, take every course, listen to every podcast, but none of it will matter until you move, until you do, until you act, until you build evidence through your own effort. Because when you act, you collect proof that you're not as weak as you once believed, proof that you're not stuck, proof that you can learn, adapt, and grow. That's how you defeat doubt. Not by wishing it away, not by hiding from it, but by outworking it. There's no fast way to build confidence. It's built through daily actions that are uncomfortable, small, and often unnoticed. But those actions matter more than motivation. They matter more than advice. They are the foundation of real self-belief. Not the kind that feels good for a moment, but the kind that sticks with you through failure, rejection, and adversity. People think courage is a feeling, but it's not. It's a decision. It's waking up and choosing to move despite the fear. It's doing the work, even when your thoughts are full of doubt. It's not glamorous. It's not exciting. It's quiet. It's steady. And it's effective. Because every time you take action, when it's easier to stay still, you build something inside you that no one can take away. You have goals for a reason. You have dreams because something inside you knows you're meant for more. Don't betray that by giving in to doubt. Don't hold back just because your mind throws you a list of fears. Those fears will always be there, but your actions can be louder. Your actions can rewrite the story. Your actions can make doubt irrelevant. You don't have to fix your thoughts to move forward. You just have to stop letting them dictate your pace. Doubt is a liar, but it's also a teacher. It shows you where your confidence needs work. It shows you where your skills can grow. And if you listen to it, not to believe it, but to understand it, you can use it as fuel. You can say, thank you for showing me where I need to push harder, and then you get to work. There's no room for excuses when your standard is progress. You don't wait until it's easy. You don't stop when it gets awkward. You do the reps. You build the habit. You create evidence that you are someone who takes action no matter what. That kind of discipline reshapes your identity. It builds a new version of you. One who doesn't hesitate. One who doesn't shrink. One who shows up. The people who succeed aren't the ones who never feel doubt. They're the ones who keep going in spite of it. They're the ones who act while scared, who fail publicly, who try things without guarantees. And because of that, they grow, they learn, they evolve. You have that same ability. But it starts with movement. It starts with the decision to stop living in your head and start living in your actions. There's no shortcut to confidence. There's only proof. And proof comes from effort. Proof comes from repetition. Proof comes from showing up when it doesn't make sense and doing what needs to be done anyway. You're not waiting for the fear to vanish. You're training yourself to move in the presence of it. Your life will not be changed by what you think. It will be changed by what you do. So stop talking yourself out of action. Stop looking for signs. Stop waiting for perfect clarity. Start moving. Start doing. Start proving. You don't have to know everything to begin. You just have to begin. Because once you do, you'll see that doubt can't survive where progress lives. It's time to make a choice. You can keep feeding doubt with inaction, or you can starve it by doing the work. You can keep asking questions that lead nowhere, or you can answer them with effort. You can keep waiting for belief to come, or you can build it one step at a time. The decision is yours. Always has been. Take control. Stop explaining why you can't. Start proving that you can. Through action, through consistency, through a daily effort that builds real lasting strength. Doubt doesn't deserve to lead your life. Your actions do. So let them. Starting now. Number 9. Decide firmly to succeed without holding anything back. Success doesn't begin when you try something out. It doesn't start when you dip your toes in to see how it feels. It starts the moment you make a firm decision that this is what you want, and you're not going to hold anything back. That kind of decision has weight. It has power. It changes the way you wake up, the way you move, the way you treat your time. When you truly decide to succeed, everything else has to line up with that choice. Your thoughts, your actions, your standards, your habits, everything must match that decision. If it doesn't, it's not a decision. It's just a wish dressed up to sound serious. Most people never really decide. They kind of want it, they talk about it, they plan around it, they dream about it, but they keep options open just in case it gets hard. Just in case they don't feel like following through, they leave room for exit. They hold back effort. And when you hold back, life holds back from you. You don't get what you want by playing it safe. You get it by going all in, by showing up with everything you've got, not just once, but every single day, until the result is real and undeniable. Success requires total commitment. That doesn't mean being busy. It means being clear. It means knowing what matters and building your life around it. It means saying no to distractions, even the ones that seem harmless. It means refusing to lower your effort based on how you feel. When you decide to succeed, you remove excuses. You remove hesitation. You remove the option to stop. You choose your goal over your comfort. You choose effort over ease. You choose movement over doubt. This kind of decision isn't loud. It doesn't need to be announced. It doesn't come with celebration. It happens quietly, internally, and it shows up in how you act when no one's watching. It shows up when it's early, when it's late, when it's hard, when no one else is committed. That's when the strength of your decision gets tested. That's when most people back off. But you won't, because you've decided that holding back is not an option anymore. Holding back might protect your ego, but it will never bring you success. If you're only giving part of your focus, part of your time, part of your energy, you'll never know what you're truly capable of. And worse, you'll start believing that you don't have what it takes. Not because it's true, but because you never actually gave yourself a real chance. You never went all in. You never pushed to your full potential. And without that full push, you'll never feel the full reward. You've got to make a clean break from hesitation. You've got to stop testing the waters and start committing to the swim. The truth is, you don't need another plan. You don't need more advice. You need a decision, a real one. A decision that says, this is what I'm doing, and I'm not going to quit until it's done. That kind of decision clears your mind. It simplifies your life. It keeps you moving when things get rough. Because once you've decided, you're no longer negotiating with your emotions every day. You just show up and do the work. Every time you hesitate, you create space for doubt. Every time you second guess, you lose momentum. Every time you delay, you move further from your goal. But the moment you decide firmly, you cut through all that. You stop waiting for permission. You stop looking around to see what others are doing. You take control. You move with clarity. You move with strength. And that kind of movement creates results that last. There's a moment in every journey when you have to stop asking if this is the right path and start walking it like it's the only one. That doesn't mean you ignore wisdom. It means you stop allowing your fears to make your decisions. It means you stop adjusting your speed based on how others are moving. It means you stop looking for the easy way and start building the strong way. Because strength is what carries you through the storms. Strength is what helps you push through the walls. Strength is what gives your results staying power. When you make the decision to succeed without holding back, you stop giving energy to distractions. You stop needing constant motivation. You stop feeding habits that drain your focus. You start protecting your time. You start choosing your circle carefully. You start thinking like someone who's already reached the goal. And you match your actions to that vision. That's how progress happens. That's how momentum builds. Not from random effort, but from focused, consistent action that lines up with a clear, unshakable decision. You don't have to be the most talented. You don't have to have the best background. But if you decide with your whole heart, with your whole focus, with your whole energy, you will move further than people who are twice as skilled but only halfway in. That's the power of a full decision. It multiplies your capacity. It strengthens your resilience. It makes your effort more meaningful because it's no longer tied to results. It's tied to identity. And when success becomes part of your identity, you don't need to push yourself every day. It just becomes who you are. Stop making partial commitments. Stop giving 70%. Stop thinking you'll ramp up your effort once the results start coming. That's not how it works. The results don't come until you start giving more. Until you start showing that you're serious. Until you prove with action, not words, that this is your path, and you're not going to abandon it. Once you reach that level of decision, even your bad days start to move you forward. Even your mistakes become lessons. Even your setbacks become setups for growth. It's not enough to want to succeed. Everyone wants to succeed. The question is, have you decided? Have you decided that no matter what happens, you're going to keep going? Have you decided that you're going to show up even when there's no applause? Have you decided that you're going to outlast every obstacle that stands in your way? That's what it takes. That's the difference between talking about it and living it. You can't hold back and expect breakthrough. You can't hold back and expect to be respected. You can't hold back and expect to be proud of the life you're building. This is the time to bring everything. Your focus, your energy, your fire, your discipline, your vision, and not just for a few days or weeks, but until the job is done. That's how legacies are built. That's how lives are changed. The people who reach high levels of success aren't lucky. They're intentional. They don't drift through life hoping things work out. They make a firm choice, and they match that choice with action every single day. That's what you have to do. That's what you're capable of doing. but only if you stop flirting with success and start committing to it. No more halfway. No more maybe later. No more excuses that sound smart but keep you stuck. Decide today. Decide clearly. Decide with conviction. And then start acting like the person who's already at the finish line. Think like them. Work like them. Train like them. Lead like them. Because the more you act like success is already yours, the more likely it is to become real. And when the challenges come, and they will, you don't stop to question if this is still what you want. You already decided. That decision will pull you through the pain. It will carry you through the doubt. It will fuel you through the setbacks. You won't need to restart every time it gets tough. Because you never stopped in the first place. You've got one shot at this life. Don't water it down with hesitation. Don't waste your energy by holding back. Go all in. Give everything. Show up like your future depends on it. Because it does. You don't get another April 6th. You don't get another chance to make this exact moment count. This is it. And the ones who win in the end are the ones who treat each day like it matters. Like it's part of something bigger. Because it is. You don't have to do everything today. But you do have to give your best today. You do have to bring focus, effort, and commitment today. You do have to keep moving. Keep building. Keep believing. And not with wishful thinking, but with deliberate action. With a standard that says, this is who I am now, this is what I do now. I no longer accept anything less. So decide. Decide with strength. Decide with clarity. Decide without leaving a back door open. And then act like the decision already happened. Let it guide your steps. Let it shape your work. Let it push you through resistance. Because once you truly decide, nothing has the power to stop you. Not doubt, not fear, not failure. The only thing that ever had that power was indecision. And you just got rid of that. Now it's your time. Now it's your move. Now it's your chance to prove, not with words but with the way you live, that you are fully committed to winning. Number 10, pursue greatness relentlessly until your dreams become reality. Greatness doesn't chase people. You have to go after it. You have to pursue it with everything you've got. With no room for backup plans, no thought of retreat, and no pause for permission. If you want to live a life that reflects your true potential, you can't treat your dreams like side projects. You have to make them the priority. You have to give them your full effort, your full attention, your full energy, and you have to do it relentlessly. That means no breaks for self-pity, no stopping when progress is slow, no softening your goals just because it's taking longer than you thought. You press on, you keep going, you adjust, you adapt, but you never pull back. That's what relentless means. That's what greatness requires. Most people have dreams, but very few are committed to them. They talk about what they want. They get excited for a moment. They might even take a few steps, but the moment it gets uncomfortable, the moment the results don't come fast enough, they hesitate, they get distracted, they lower their standards, and before they even realize it, they've stepped away from what they once said was important. Greatness isn't for those who dabble. It's for those who stay consistent through the hard parts. It's for those who show up even when it's not convenient. It's for those who stay the course when everything else tries to pull them away. Relentlessness isn't a personality trait. It's a choice, a decision you make every single day. You wake up and you decide that you're going to push forward no matter how you feel, no matter what happened yesterday, no matter who supports you or who doubts you. You decide that your future means more than your temporary comfort. You decide that your goals matter more than your distractions. You decide that your time is too valuable to waste on things that don't bring you closer to the life you want. That's the mindset that pushes dreams into reality. That's the mindset that makes people unstoppable. Your dream isn't going to wait around for you to get serious. It won't hang around forever while you figure out if you're willing to do the work. Dreams are fragile when they're ignored, and they die in the hands of people who are casual. You can't afford to treat your dream like a hobby. You have to move like it's your responsibility, like it's your duty to bring it to life. Not just for you, but for the people who need what you're building. You have to work like someone's depending on you, because they are, even if you don't see it yet. Pursuing greatness is not a sprint, it's a grind. It's not about going hard once, it's about going steady every day. It's about showing up when you're tired, showing up when you're discouraged, showing up when the path isn't clear. You have to train your mind to focus on what matters. You have to build the discipline to keep pushing when your emotions scream to stop. The world doesn't reward the most talented. It rewards the most committed. And commitment without relentlessness is just empty noise. There will be days when you question everything, when you wonder if it's worth it, when you think about giving up. That's normal. Everyone who's ever achieved anything great has been there. But the difference between the ones who make it and the ones who don't is what they do in those moments. The ones who rise don't let doubt dictate their action. They feel it and they move anyway. They remind themselves of the vision. They stay locked into the mission. They keep going, not because it's easy, but because quitting is not an option. You have to build a relationship with persistence. You have to get comfortable with doing things over and over without applause, without recognition, without instant results, because that's where greatness lives. Because that's where greatness lives, in the repetition, in the practice, in the process, in the boring, in the discipline. The more consistent you are, the more powerful you become. Because while others are waiting to feel ready, you're already doing the work. Chasing your dream isn't always about speed. It's about intensity. It's about how deeply you care, how focused you stay, how committed you remain when everything around you tells you to take it easy. It's about whether or not you believe in your dream enough to fight for it, day after day, without making excuses. That kind of pursuit changes you. It turns you into someone who can't be shaken, someone who doesn't fold under pressure, someone who keeps moving forward no matter what. There's no perfect path to greatness. There's no clean map. You're going to mess up. You're going to make bad calls. You're going to feel lost. But that's not a reason to stop. That's part of the process. You learn, you adjust, you grow, and through all of it, you keep moving. You don't let mistakes make you hesitate. You don't let setbacks make you soft. You become someone who refuses to settle, someone who keeps climbing until the view matches the vision. When you decide to pursue greatness, you have to get honest with yourself. You have to look at your habits, your time, your circle. You have to remove anything that weakens your focus. You have to stop doing things that don't serve your mission. You have to create an environment that supports your ambition. And you have to hold yourself to the standard every single day. Not sometimes, not when it's convenient, always. Relentless means you don't need to be told twice. It means you don't wait for motivation to find you. It means you don't need to be pushed. You push yourself. You demand effort, even on the days when the results are invisible. You commit even when no one claps. That kind of approach builds something unshakable. That kind of commitment leads to outcomes most people never experience. The truth is, greatness isn't glamorous. It's not always inspiring. It's exhausting. It's frustrating. It's filled with lonely hours and hard decisions. But it's worth it. Because the feeling of knowing you gave everything, that you showed up and left nothing on the table, that's what brings peace. That's what makes it all matter. That's what turns effort into achievement. You don't have to be born with something special to pursue greatness. You just have to be willing to outwork people, to outlast doubt, to outfocus distractions, to outdiscipline your past. You have to be willing to fight through every obstacle without asking if it's supposed to be this hard. It is. That's the point. That's what makes it valuable. That's what makes it real. If you stop when it gets hard, you'll never know how far you could have gone. You'll live your life wondering what could have happened if you had just kept going. That kind of regret will haunt you more than any failure ever could. So don't give yourself the option to quit. Burn the bridge behind you. Remove the backup plan. Make success your only direction. That kind of intensity doesn't make you reckless. It makes you committed. People around you may not understand why you work so hard, why you say no to things they enjoy, why you spend time building instead of relaxing. But they don't have to understand. It's not their dream, it's yours. And it's your job to protect it, to nurture it, to chase it like it's the most important thing in the world. Because it is. Not for validation, not for applause, but because it's part of your purpose. There will be moments when you feel stuck, when nothing seems to move, when it feels like everything you're doing isn't working. That's the test. That's when you find out how serious you are. Most people fold there. They stop trying. They lower their goals. They settle for less. But not you. You double down. You go harder. You focus more. You become sharper. And eventually things move. Eventually, the resistance breaks. And when it does, everything you've built will be stronger because of it. Relentless pursuit means you don't stop for opinions. You don't pause for fear. You don't give up because the path is unclear. You keep building, step by step, brick by brick, and slowly your dream becomes something you can touch, something you can stand in, something that once lived in your mind, now lives in your reality. That's the reward, not just the dream itself, but the person you had to become to bring it to life. You can't half-step your way into a full dream. You can't tiptoe into greatness. You have to run toward it. You have to fight for it. You have to pursue it like nothing else matters. Because when you do, everything starts to shift. Your confidence rises. Your purpose gets stronger. Your days gain clarity. You stop wasting time on what doesn't matter. You live like someone who knows exactly why they're here. This isn't just about success. It's about becoming the kind of person who refuses to live a watered-down version of life, who refuses to coast, who refuses to blend in, who refuses to look back with regret. That kind of life takes everything, but it gives everything too. Peace, fulfillment, strength, pride. You earn those things by chasing your dream with everything you've got and refusing to let anything stop you. You've got what it takes. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need everyone to believe in you. You just need to get serious. You need to stop waiting and start pushing. You need to make a decision and back it up with action. You need to chase your greatness like your life depends on it, because it does. You only get one chance at this. Make it count. Make it real. Make it yours. Pursue it relentlessly. And don't stop until your dream is no longer something you talk about, but something you live in every single day.